Hey everybody. Hey internet. I'm wondering if you guys can hear me. Can you hear me okay? Let me see some thumbs up in the comments if you can hear me all right. Just so I know that we are indeed live. The screen is telling me that we're live. It says we're doing this, we're in the show, and I just want verification from you guys that we are indeed live. I want to know that you guys are real human beings and not Russian bots. Okay, we see. Okay, there's some thumbs up. Nice. It's good to see you guys, man. Yeah. Um, this is my first time doing anything. Like I've never been to Israel in my life. I've never even worked with a guitar store in Israel. And when I was approached to do this for a shop, Wild Guitars in this case, based in Israel, I was pretty damn excited because, to be honest, that's a part of our fan base, Periphery's fan base, that I don't know anything about. So like when people say that like, oh, you guys have fans in Israel, I'm like, what? Really? We've never played a show there. I don't even know the closest we've come to playing a show there, but it's always been on our bucket list to come play and do some kind of tour, play some kind of concert there in one of the major cities. But when I got the opportunity to do this, it was like, okay, well, this is the next best thing. This is the first step, right? This is first base. This is us kissing on a first date. And then next will be a hand unbuckling the bra. That's second base, which will be me doing a clinic there. And then third base will be us doing a concert there. And then a home run. Sorry about the baseball analogies. A home run would be us doing a full tour there. So hopefully we can make that happen. Yeah. All right. I'm still waiting to see. Okay. Cool. Yeah. I hope the same. I hope we can come play there soon. Can I test out my audio real quick, guys? I just want to see if this is sounding good. You guys let me know, okay? Let me know in the comments if this actually sounds decent or if it sounds like shit. Let me know. How does that sound, guys? Is the level of that sound okay? I'm kind of testing all this out on the run, so feel free to let me know. For that, I'm just using a clean tone through Hold on, I'm seeing some comments that say it's clipping a little bit, so let me adjust my volume. I'm using a Dark Sun, a Seymour Duncan Dark Sun for that delay there. All right. Okay, so I see some comments says that it's clipping. That's fine. I'll get that sorted out. I just adjusted some levels here. But for the rest of you who don't care, welcome. Like I say, I've been doing some of these sort of virtual, clinics. Calling it a clinic is a little unusual for me because I like to do these in person. I like to get in front of people and actually, meet everybody one-on-one and just sort of emphasize the whole face-to-face thing. With this, it's a little difficult because all we have is this screen and obviously we're at the mercy of the internet, and technical issues may happen and whatnot. But most importantly, it's sort of less personal. So I like to try and push it in the other direction, and that's why I love, you know, the interaction side of this. I love seeing the questions here. I have the comments pretty big here on the screen. So the only thing I ask from you guys is to bring questions. I don't know if any of you guys have ever written me on social media, have ever tried to ask me a question about my gear, about what I use, about, you know, what Periphery is up to, about X and Y, whatever. But I can be a little tough to get a hold of sometimes. So I like to go in the other direction here. So I'm completely available for you guys. Whatever you want to know, please feel free to ask questions. These virtual clinics that I do are pretty simple, and they're pretty informal. So it's probably going to go maybe like 60, 90 minutes today, maybe more if you guys are down. I certainly don't have that much going on today. But I'm here to talk about my gear, what I'm using, my guitars, my pickups, my pedals, amps, whatever you guys want to know. I'm also here to talk about Periphery, what we've been up to, what this past 2020 has been for us. It's been a mixed bag for sure. I'm sure for everybody on the planet. The music industry in particular has suffered a very unique fate in that it doesn't really exist the way it used to right now. But yeah, I'm here to talk about Periphery's plans, here to talk about what I've been up to. I've been working and writing a lot for Haunted Shores, which is my side project on the side of Periphery. I've also been writing for Periphery a lot, and we're getting together in the next month and a half here to work on our next release, whatever that may be. It could be an album, could be an EP. I don't know, but yeah, we're gonna elaborate a little bit. And 1 second. Okay, cool. I heard a little bit of a little bit of a hum here. Okay, we're good. But yeah, besides that, I'll play a couple songs for you guys, maybe 3 or 4 songs, and see how that goes. I apologize in advance for the sound quality not being that great, but we're kind of making do with the internet connection here and everything at our disposal. So you know what? At the end of the day, you guys can't complain too much because this is free. You guys aren't paying for this. It's free. Need I say more? If I had an opportunity more of these that were free when I was a younger up and coming guitar player, I would have jumped at the opportunity, man. Anyways, so one other special thing that we're doing is Wild Guitars Israel is giving away one of these. They're giving away one of my signature models, which is pretty damn generous. Because when I've done clinics at stores before, they typically give away t-shirts and guitar picks and keychains and stickers or whatever. Nobody gives away guitars. So that's pretty damn cool of Wild Guitars. It's available to those who pre-registered before the clinic. I think that's closed off now. I don't think you can go in retroactively and register at this point in the game. But if you've registered, you've just entered yourself in an opportunity to win this guitar, one of my 6-string SE models. I believe is a 6-string, not the 7-string. But yeah, we're going to be announcing the winner of that before this clinic is over. So wait maybe 60, 80 minutes, and we'll get to that, guys. Yeah, I guess before I get into playing music, let me get into what I'm playing real quick here, just to summarize. For those of you who don't know me, this is my 6-string SE signature model. This was something that was developed, I believe, in 2015, and it was meant to be a sort of more streamlined, affordable version of the guitar right there. See that guitar in the middle? Right there. And that original private stock, it's the same with all of them behind me. The original private stocks were built in 2014. And I basically asked Paul, you know, what would the perfect sort of metal-oriented PRS look like? And could it have a 25.5-inch scale length? And with that in mind, he built the first prototype, 25.5-inch scale length, 20-inch fretboard radius. So what you have is a very flat fretboard. Check it out. So you have this. I got very accustomed to bending and playing vibrato on a flat fretboard. So having a really clean, flat 20-inch fretboard radius was something that I absolutely needed. Again, a 25.5-inch scale length is absolutely necessary for the tunings that I go to. So you'll see here, I'm playing in drop C. Sometimes we tune down to drop C. Sometimes we tune down to drop A. Sometimes, you know, as is the case in Reptile, which I'll play for you guys in a little bit. Reptile, we tune all the way down to low G on the 6th string. So the bottom 2 strings are G and G, which is pretty fucking stupid. But we do it anyway because it sounds cool and it's a fun tuning. The problem is that you kind of need the right gear and features to be able to do it, which is why this guitar is the way it is, to be able to handle those cartoonishly low tunings. So yeah, I mean, this has been my dream guitar now for going on 6 years, and I take these with me on tour. You'll see a couple over there in the corner. There's a couple 7 strings and a 6 string. But the idea was to make the guitar I would take on tour and that I would use and abuse every night. Something that takes a beating, something that's consistent and has every single feature I would need to play this kind of music and to write this kind of music too. Because at the end of the day, it's about wanting to be inspired by your gear. I don't know if you guys can relate, but that's the reason I love gear. I love creating, I love writing and recording and all that. So whatever sort of brings me back to that, I always give the most time and most of my energy. So yeah, that's what I'm playing guitar-wise. Feel free to ask any questions if you guys have them along the way. Of course, these are loaded with Seymour Duncan Alpha Omega pickups, which again, these have been my go-to pickups for 7 years at this point. I built them with a guy named Keith Merrow. He and I designed this pickup set at Seymour Duncan headquarters. And yeah, I mean, I'll show you a little bit of what I'm talking about here. It's really simple. The Omega bridge has this sort of, it's really pissed off. I'll show you. This really pissed off snarl. So as you can see, it's got this really sort of percussive, angry attack on the low end. But when I do chords, check out when I do chords. So when I'm doing chords, playing rhythm, even under such high gain settings, I'm not losing any of the clarity. I'm not losing any of the content in those chords. And that's the reason these pickups are designed the way they are. So you can go from this really heavy-handed, sort of meat-headed caveman picking mentality right away to, you know, all under very high gain settings. So that's the deal with the Omega. With the Alpha, the idea was basic with the Alpha, just really have a versatile neck pickup, have something that could do sort of like fat, like glassy style tones with the neck pickup, but also if you change the way you pick, you can have it be more trebly and more almost like a bridge pickup. You can go between the two if you want. I'll show you what I'm talking about. I'll start by playing a little bit more traditional neck and then go to a little bit more, you know, something more trebly. So check it out. Yeah, sorry, my lead shop's kind of sucked this morning. But you guys get the gist of it. All right, guys. I'm gonna get to a couple questions. Let me do some scrolling real quick. So, what string gauge do you use in order to be able to reach so low tunings? Thank you for the question. It really just depends. On this guitar, I have 11 to 56s loaded. That's kind of my sweet spot. When it comes to other songs, like for Reptile, I gauge up, I think, to a 60. On the record, I think we used a 60. But lately, and check this out, lately for Reptile, playing it live with Periphery, I've used a special guitar. I'll show you. I'll be right back. Stay patient. So with string gauges, I keep them pretty consistent, 11 to 56 for the most part. I swap out the lower gauges sometimes. I have 10 to 52s on some of my studio guitars at home just because I think they sound a little bit brighter. They just don't hold the tunings as well. Speaking of tunings, I use this for Reptile live. It's a Evertune bridge on my SE model. And there's a caveat here that I'd like to mention. I like these bridges in that they're designed to do one thing, and that's hold a tuning perfectly, right? I don't like the way my guitar sounds with it. It kind of takes away from the tone. In my pickups, it takes away from the tone in the bodywood and all the other elements that we have in place. So I don't prefer it to my bridge, unfortunately. I think there's some downsides and disadvantages when it comes to this bridge. But check out how sort of even the tuning sounds. I don't remember how to play my own songs. Can I get to another question? Anybody got more questions? All right, so I see a couple good ones. Do you use normal E to E tuning as well? Yeah, I do. I have a Strat and a Tele here in the house that I keep always in standard tuning. Yeah. Somebody asked a question. I missed the name of whoever asked it, but I think it's a really good question. Somebody says, how do I go about capturing a metal tone playing PRS? Because this gentleman said that he has a custom 24 with a Kemper and has problems getting a good metal tone out of it. I would say, man, it goes back to the pickups. I would say that's one of the most important things to dial in a good metal sound is pickups over bodywood. Because you hear a lot of guitars with mahogany bodies, with whatever, zebra, or whatever. Like there's a million type of different tone woods out there. But for me, if you're fighting a set of pickups, and this is not a knock on any other company, right? Or I don't want to knock DiMarzio or EMG or PRS pickups for that matter. These Duncans were designed to not ever be an obstacle for metal tone for me, for my tastes, which if you guys are watching this and you're familiar with my background, I assume you know my tastes in tone, right? And Periphery's taste in tone. These were meant to accommodate every single facet of that. So for me, you do want that attack. You want the attack, you want the clarity, the aggression. You don't want it to be too gainy. You kind of want it to lie in the middle in terms of output, and controllable. So I would say if you're having trouble dialing a good metal tone, make sure you have the right pickups, because if you're playing through, you know, a set of pickups designed for jazz or blues or even just rock for that matter, yet you're aiming for the super saturated, clear, punchy metal tone, you're constantly going to be fighting. So so go back to the pickups. That's what I say. All right, guys, I'm going to play a song. Is that cool? Can I see a thumbs up if it's all right to do a song? Can I see? Give me thumbs up in the comments if you allow me to play a song. Somebody's asking, is Haunted Shores going to stay instrumental? Yes, it will, 100%. Yes, there will be a new Periphery tab book. I'm going to tell you a secret actually right now. Nobody else knows this, but there's a Periphery 2 tab book coming out in, I think 2 weeks or 3 weeks or something. So don't tell anybody you heard it from me. All right, guys, I'm going to play a quick song. This is a little bit of a song that that Tesseract wrote called Enter Sandman. And it goes like this. Okay, I'll play a little bit of a song called Reptile. I won't play the whole thing, just a little bit of it, okay? Thank you guys. I messed up. I messed up some interesting bits in that one. Thank you for the kind words. I've tried been reading comments while I was playing. I appreciate the kindness you guys are showing. But there's some bits in that song that are such a pain in the ass. Like these parts. There's that harmonic. It's a weird harmonic. So I don't know what I was thinking when I came up with the part, but I thought it would be cool to have this run. It's this harmonic that starts high, so you bend before you pick. You go like this with your left hand and then pick. It's a weird, it sounds even better on a non-Evertune guitar. Again, this is what I'm saying about the Evertune. It's a cool one-trick pony, but it kind of neuters your sound in other ways that I don't find that great, but it does its job well. Anyways, that's Reptile. Yeah, can I take any more questions for you guys? Yeah, okay. So you're talking about harmonic. There's somebody named Ander is asking about harmonics. So what I'll do is I'll just choke up on the pick a lot. Like, I don't know if you guys can see that, but there's basically nothing showing outside of my thumb and my first finger. So I just really choke up. That's what I would say. Just like leave none of the pick sticking out whatsoever, and pick hard. And also, more importantly, or just as importantly, do vibrato while you're doing it, because I see a lot of guitar players do this. They'll just pick, and they won't shake their finger. They won't do any vibrato. So you want to really... Let me get a different guitar, because this guitar sucks with vibrato, man. The bridge really neuters the vibrato. I'll be right back. I'll show you what I'm talking about. I'm sorry to get mad at the bridge, but the bridge really just takes away from a lot of the playability of the guitar. But here's what I'm talking about. There. See, you see it? So you want a lot of action in your left hand too. It's not just about the picking hand. You want to get it right so that there's just a tiny bit sticking out there. But just as importantly, the left hand needs to be moving. If it just sits there, it actually sounds kind of cool. Sounds like a robot having an orgasm. That sounds kind of cool. Never mind, I take it back. Leave your finger there. It sounds like a robot having an orgasm. No, but if you want to really have it move, like if you listen to Zakk Wylde or Killswitch Engage or whatever, you'll notice that the vibrato is just as pronounced as the actual harmonic that they're applying on the right hand. So anyways. Okay, so Roy Normand is asking me, why didn't I go multi-scale in your 7-string? I just found it unnecessary. We have the option. But there's a couple things feel-wise that I prefer with just a regular scale guitar. And for me, I'm just used to the feel of one scale across a neck. And it's just a level of comfort for me. And I don't feel that I'm losing anything by going with one scale, you know? Across a neck. I feel, and this is kind of me being an old person, right? Being a 38-year-old grumpy guy. No, but I feel like sometimes people get really obsessed with things that they read in forums or read online. And this goes hand in hand with our internet culture, right? It's like we all live online, especially in a pandemic. But when it comes to guitars, and I saw this comment earlier, somebody asked me what I look for in a guitar. And I'll answer that question in the same, fell swoop that I'm doing this right now, is you have to play these things for yourself before you commit or decide that, like, oh, anything that's not fan fret is dog shit, or anything that's not, flame koa is dog shit, or anything that's not multi-scale sucks. Like, I see a lot of this stuff all the time, and it always comes from the same kinds of people, these like kids who sit on forums and post memes all day and think that they know more about designing a guitar than people who actually do it for a living. And I'm not saying you who asked the question are that. I'm not saying anybody here in this conversation is that. But I see a lot of this sort of, I call it like tech fetish stuff. It's like people get obsessed with tech specs, with features, saying that, like, oh, if it's anything rounder than a 20-inch radius, it's unplayable. It's like, dude, what are you talking about? Like, Strats, like pick up a Strat, seriously. And I'm going to sound like a boomer. I'm going to sound like I'm 97 years old right now. But go pick up a Strat, or go pick up a Les Paul, or go pick up like an old Gibson Explorer or something like that. And if you tell me that there's nothing valuable to be found in those guitars, then you're either a liar, a fraud, or, I'm sorry, not a very good guitar player. There's something to be found in each one of those instruments, and that's a reason that those guitars are as established as they are. What I'm playing here, these very sort of modern takes on a classic PRS instrument, it's an extension, right? It's built to accommodate a style of music that doesn't really mold with those types of guitars I just mentioned. That's the only reason they exist. And if it weren't for the music, these guitars wouldn't have the purpose that they have. So again, these specs that I have are very deliberately put in place. Not to say that they're the best thing ever, not to say that every guitar has to have them, but it's specifically engineered to meet a really unique need. Same thing with the rest of the specs and guitars that I just mentioned. So anyways, sorry for the old person rant there. I hope that helped. So Madi Vaknin asks, Mark, what leads you to write such floating riffs? Your riffs float around the fretboard. Is it conscious or it just happens? It's a little bit of both, and I'll show you what I'm talking about in a second. It's a little bit of both. So I've always loved the feeling of sliding around on a fretboard, right? Like, to me, it feels really smooth and natural and organic. And I love the way it looks, like from a very superficial perspective. I think it looks cool. Like when you see Guthrie Govan playing Waves and he's sliding around the fretboard, or you see, Devin Townsend or Michael from Opeth playing and they're just sliding around. I always thought that looked really impressive, just as a visual thing. But what got me into it was this sort of fatigue I got of all of my riffs sounding the same, and this was maybe talking 15, 20 years ago, when all of my writing was sort of low and sort of, it tended to be in one register a lot. So it would sound oftentimes like this. Whatever, just like really cardboard, vanilla, like, at the gates worship, low tune, riffy stuff. I got sick of guitar, and I've told this story many times before, but I quit the guitar for maybe 6 or 8 months because I just didn't feel like I had a style of my own. I felt like everything was really derivative, and it just kind of sat in one register and never moved anywhere. And if I would play low, I would play low. If I was going to play high, I would play solo. And those are my only two modes. Play low or solo. Play low or solo. The fun part was when I came back to guitar and I told myself, well, what do I really like about the instrument? I love sort of sliding around. I just love the sort of mobility. You hear a lot of it in like old Van Halen and stuff like that. Just a lot of really playful slides and moving from part to part of the fretboard. Makes your riffs sound very mobile and diverse. And I always loved the way that sounded and felt. And so I tried to make that the sort of center of my playing, and it's still the question, or it's still the focus to this day. So again, I do it subconsciously, but again, it was done very deliberately. And I do think it's a cool way intentionally to spice up your playing. Anyways, guys, before we get to more questions, can I play another song for you guys? Can I see some thumbs up if you're cool with me playing another song? Sorry, I'm ignoring a lot of questions. I'll get to them after I play this song. But speaking of this song, I've been trying to be more prolific this year, this past 2020, and I've been writing a lot for Haunted Shores. So there's basically a whole record ready to go by Haunted Shores that we will release sometime probably this year. But speaking of Haunted Shores, I'll play an old one right now. So this is my sort of thrashy side project. Haunted Shores, the song's called Harrison Fjord. Thank you guys very much. So, really quick, I've seen some questions. I tried to scroll along in the middle of the song during the clean break to see what kind of questions I missed. I see a couple of people saying, like, how do you write something like that? And let me remove some of the mystery around it, okay? Take a look at the first riff. Can I play the first riff for you guys? Check it out. Here's the first riff. I'll play it at full speed and then slow it down. Here's the chords for that riff. I'll play the chords just so you guys see, because the riff was written around a very simple chord progression. Check it out. So here's the chords. Here's chord 1, chord 2, chord 3, chord. Back to 1. There's the alternate. And then 4. So, if you play those same chords in a different context, it almost sounds like a smooth rock song, you know? Goes hand in hand with something that I like to do every once in a while when it comes to writing songs is I'll choose just a really simple chord progression like that. Something that could easily be, you know, like a top 40 radio song that you hear. You know, that chord progression is just, it's a really common sort of pop rock-ish chord progression. And then add other elements into it to make it metal, to make it thrash, to make it gallop. So like adding the sort of rhythmic part. It becomes a completely different riff just because of the way you're playing with your right hand. And I cannot emphasize this enough. People like to ask me a lot about my left hand. Like you're using your thumb a lot, you know, you have great technique with your left hand, whatever, your vibrato. This is where it's all at. The right hand, I cannot emphasize that enough. And that is just sort of case in point right there. It can completely transform a part and make a part, because the cool part about that is not the chord. And the chords are about half of that. But it's only brought to life with how intense your right hand is going. And same with the other sections in the song. Same thing with that that verse riff. I mean, there's a lot going on. Again, really simple. So one chord. That's it. That's this. And then the next chord. And that's. And this becomes. You see what I'm doing? I'm sort of just arpeggiating the chords to make an actual riff. And that's the approach I use for really a lot of the stuff I write for Periphery and Hans Short. Yeah, give me more questions, guys. Give me. I'm going to take a sip of. Post-COVID, what do you think will be with M&G? More importantly, how do you guys face The fact of no tour. What's M and G? Is that what? Sorry, what's M and G? Can someone write in the comments what's M and G mean? But to address the second part of your question, we don't know. Periphery, we're kind of just prepared to take some time off. I mean, we haven't toured in over a year at this point, so we're kind of just taking our time. We're not ready to come back until it makes sense for us from a business perspective, until we probably have new music to play. And when it comes time to tour again, bands are going to be coming out all at once, and we're not trying to be part of that first wave. We're trying to take our time and lie back just a little bit, because the industry is going to take some time to recover. So we're not in any rush to get back out. When it comes to doing clinics and meet and greets and stuff like that, I have no objections. Like, I'm not going to be afraid of shaking people's hands as long as I get vaccinated. I don't mind, being close to people. I actually miss being in rooms, like shaking hands and hugging people and sweating amongst several hundred or several thousand people in a hot venue. So no, it's something that I miss. It's definitely not going to make me afraid going forward. In fact, we're all kind of missing it at this point, as you guys I'm sure sympathize with. Can I take any more questions? I see some really good ones. I see somebody's asking me about building chord shapes here, and that's okay. So I've seen a couple questions related to theory. I don't know theory. I don't know any theory whatsoever. I know how to tune my guitar, kind of. From time to time, I can kind of tune my guitar. But when it comes to building chords, when it comes to writing riffs, I don't use theory because I don't know it. For me, it always starts with a root note, right? Like with everything on any instrument, it starts with a root note. So let's say this is my root. I'll just go about finding note by note from there what makes the most sense. So let's say I want it to be minor. So I'll go to make it minor. I'll find another note that sort of makes sense. Nope. Yep. I'll add another note. There, I just came up with a chord. So you have. I don't know. I'm literally just writing a song on this live stream. That's cool. I like that chord. But okay, I actually really like that, and I'm probably going to use it somewhere. But that's exactly how I do it, because I don't have theory. I'm constantly chasing my ear, chasing relationships between notes, finding intervals that I find to be pleasing to my ear. And that, it goes for just all kinds of different chords. And as you can see, I use my thumb quite a bit. This is something that I've been doing for over 20 years at this point, using my thumb to fret chords. So just the root note and the fifth to fret a chord. So that's something you guys can try at home. It's not what they teach you in guitar school. It's not what a guitar teacher will ever sit down and tell you to do, like, hey, you must play with your thumb. In fact, my guitar teacher told me the opposite when I first started playing guitar. He said, don't use your thumb because it leaves your hand in a compromised position. You want your fingers to always sort of be even with the frets. When you use your thumb, your fingers are all of a sudden slanted. For me, it was always worth the sacrifice, because I love that, Jimi Hendrix was always able to fret the low octave, whatever he was doing, with his thumb. You see John Mayer do it too. You see Matthias Asado do it. You see other really fantastic players do it who are okay with making that sacrifice. They don't have that perfect sort of Paul Gilbert, Jason Becker type of parallel look. and technique with their left hand, but I don't want to be that anyways, and I couldn't be that even if I wanted to. So yeah, that's the sort of trick I do. I recommend it if you guys are able to try it. I don't do it as much on a 7-string, but I still do. I do it with an 8 too. I fret with my thumb on an 8th, on an 8-string. For the song Black Minute, there's a chord on there that I have to use my thumb for. It sucks, yeah. Yeah, Frusciante does it. 13 Beyond the Grave asks, what is the dynamic with Misha and Jake, like regarding writing the material? Do you write together or your own songs? I would say we do both. I write my own material from home. Misha writes his own material from home. Jake writes his own stuff from home. The real magic happens, and this is why I lean towards saying that it doesn't really start till we all get in a room together. Because when I'm at home, I write. That's just my natural tendency. Same with Misha and Jake. We would do that even if Periphery weren't a band. But the real Periphery songwriting process doesn't begin, and the true magic, the true work doesn't begin until we are all in the same room. What happens before that is not work. It's just us living, breathing, existing, waking up, having breakfast, drinking coffee, and writing music. That's just what we do. The work begins when we're all in one room. And we're actually starting here in the next couple months to get together and figure out the next Periphery record, whatever that's going to be. But yeah, we have a very sort of sacred working relationship. For those of you who have seen the documentaries that my brother has made, you'll see that we have somewhat of a musical kinship and brotherhood and language. It's a shared language that we all kind of base our playing off of that makes the writing process second nature. And I wouldn't know where to start if I didn't have that. And that's one of those things, and for you people out there who are in bands and starting bands, I would say emphasize trust in your bandmates, emphasize camaraderie and brotherhood and sacrifice. Be willing to sort of step back and trust the vision of another person in your band for the good of the band, if that's what kind of environment it is. Now, if it's your project, if it's the Devin Townsend project, you don't have to sacrifice anything, right? Because you're Devin Townsend. So if you run the show, that's not really applicable to you. But if you're in a band, I would say make sure you have the right people in place from day one so you can harvest that kind of trust and harvest that kind of environment where you can get into a room and whatever you write on your own sits here, but whatever everybody else collaborates with you on and pitches forward, it can be great in the sum of its parts. And that's what I feel Periphery is one person brings something to the table, combine that with something else, combine that with the input of the others, and it becomes something much greater and much bigger. So, all right, I can take one more question, then I'll get to playing a song. Hey Mark, does your approach differ when you're at the clean channel and the distorted channel? And how do you make the timing for each part of the riffs, triplets? Thanks, Oral. The approach definitely differs. It definitely differs. Although I would say in terms of content with the left hand, I do like to write passages that work on clean tones as well. So sounds like I'm going to play Kill Switch. I don't know why I feel like playing Kill Switch today. It works as a clean riff, but check it out when it's distorted. Check it out. Anyways, that song is kind of part of what I'm trying to say here is I love writing riffs that work on a clean level and a distorted level. And the song was just playing on Harrison Fjord. It works on a clean channel. It also works distorted. And that all comes from the chords. That comes from emphasizing the chord progression and making sure the progression is cool. You're not just writing it to sound adventurous. You're not just writing it to sound crazy and out there and have 9 million chords in your progression. That's not what I'm about. I like a chord progression that sounds good no matter the context. So with my left hand, I'm playing pretty similar. When it comes to my right hand, I'm playing very different than I would on a clean channel versus a rhythm channel. I hope that answers your question all right. Can I play another song for you guys? Is that cool? I kind of want to bust out my 7-string here. Can I do that? I don't care what the answer is. I'm going to do it anyways. All right, so this is my my SE signature strings here. Wait a minute. Sorry. Okay, my brain's a little scattered right now. I thought I saw a funny question. Okay, so sorry about that, guys. So this is my SE signature 7-string here. This was released last year. This is the walnut version of it. I'm not sure if it's available in Israel. It should be. If it's not, it really should be. But this is a 7-string, kind of meant to be the same type of guitar, except it's got an additional string. It's got 1 extra inch. Oh, now in stock. There you go. It's in stock, as the screen says. Thank you, Internet. Thank you, Wild Guitars. Thank you, Tom, whoever's writing that. I see you back there, Tom. But this is 26.5-inch scale length, which again is absolutely important for tunings this low, which we go down to A flat on the 7-string. But other than that, it's the same guitar, basically. You got the same exact pickups. The nut is actually better on the 7 strings than it is the 6 strings. I find that I had to swap out the nut for tuning issues on the 6 from time to time. On the 7, I keep the stock ones in because there's something about the material they use in place of the 6-string ones that feels better on the 7. I add locking tuners to mine, and that's the only difference that I make. So, I'm going to play a song for you guys. Is that cool? I see Tom is quite the popular character. All right, you're getting some love on here, Tom. People know you, the local hero, local family man hero. Tom's been absolutely awesome, by the way. He's one of the main reasons I did this, because he was so helpful in the very beginning and so kind and generous and welcoming to bring me here into the fold. So I hope this is the beginning of something greater. I would not like to keep it strictly to a virtual clinic level. Tom, if you want to take our relationship to the next level, we can always make this an in-person thing where I could do clinics over there in Israel. So just let me know. And you guys too. This song is called Make Total Destroy. Ooh. Hi guys. I'm drinking my vodka. This is vodka in a can. I'm just kidding. It's LaCroix soda water. Cameron French. Is that the Cameron French in here? What's the name of that instrument you're playing? This is a rack tom. Cameron, I'm playing a rack tom. Misha is not here. Misha's in the basement. I chained him there. He's being punished right now. I chained him to the furnace. Let's see. Someone's asking about Kemper. I have limited experience playing the Kemper stuff. I've used them at my friend Keith's house, Keith Marrow. We did a little bit of recording, and I used one of his Kempers, and it was sick. Like I use Fractal with Periphery, but Kemper, from what I've heard, is every bit as versatile and awesome. I'm just more of a Fractal guy myself, but yeah. So why PRS? Just because I've been a fan of the instrument since I was a teenager, man. Like everybody who is everybody in the 90s in California, in that sort of scene where I was living, in the Los Angeles area of California, you got used to walking into guitar stores and seeing the Dragon guitar, right? Like the PRS Dragon with the Dragon inlays on it, and it was always $8,000 or $10,000 or whatever. So PRS had this reputation of being this kind of inaccessible, not affordable at all guitar, which is why I kind of never entertained it as a realistic guitar that I would actually go out and buy, because it just seemed too rich for my blood, which it was if you're talking about a PRS Eagle, and even a Custom 24 or Custom 22 back in the day, as I was not a financially well-off kid by any stretch of the imagination. I borrowed a friend's Custom 22 or 24 a long time ago, and I fell in love with it. And I just kept coming back to it as a guitar. I never thought of it as a metal guitar, though. It wasn't until I started seeing guys from like Opeth and Cradle of Filth and Seven Dust and whatever, and even like bands like Linkin Park and Incubus playing PRSs, where I was like, oh, these guys use it for rock and metal. I should try using it for that too. And for me, it was always the pickups. And so when I met Paul Reed Smith at NAMM, maybe 7 or 8 years ago now, I can't remember, I had a conversation with him before we had a working relationship. It was just a friendly debate about guitars, and he told me, like I can build the guitar that you're talking about, like a long scale guitar, but with a PRS feel, with a PRS sort of classic sensibility to it. So that's where it went, and that's history. It's been that way ever since. All right. Do you learn to play guitar parts and solos that other Periphery members wrote? If yes, are there ones that you struggled with? Also, can you talk about how you joined the band? Yeah. As far as how I joined the band, I'll answer your second question first. I joined in 2011, so coming up on 10 years ago, when we were supporting the Periphery 1 tour. Before that, I was just a fill-in. I was just playing some of the parts from Periphery 1 live and writing a little bit with the guys. I wasn't an official member for the first couple months. And I joined, I think it was July or August 2011. The guys asked me to join after a show in Texas, funny enough. And I said yes. And they wanted me to write in the band, which was super important to me, because I didn't want to join a band and be a hired gun. I didn't want to be the sort of person like, hey, play this and don't write anything. It's like, I don't want to be part of the situation, because I've always prided myself on being a songwriter and a riff writer and someone who's creative, I'm not a shredder. I like to write. That's just always been the way I am as a player, how I identify myself. And they wanted me to write, thank God. And that's why I came in this situation, because I love the guys. I loved Periphery 1, and the guys wanted to use Scarlet. I had written Chunks of Mile Zero and Have a Blast, and the guys wanted to use that. So we just went from there, and it's been the craziest journey of my life. You know, it's been beautiful. It's been a beautiful 10 years, man. I'm very thankful to be where I am, and for Periphery to be where we are. It's kind of surreal, you know. Still kind of can't believe that we've made it all this way. I've had a lot of moments like this over the past year, you know, with no touring, just sort of taking inventory of what has happened with the music industry, you know, like when is touring going to come back? When are we going to play live again? When are we going to get to do what we do again? And it's been cool to reflect on how much we've grown as people and as a band. And answer your first question, funny enough, a couple weeks ago, I was learning this solo that Misha wrote just for fun, because I was like, oh, it's such a cool solo. It's the first one in Have a Blast. Let me see if I can remember right now. Let me play it for you guys and you can see how much I suck. So, I don't know. I was trying to learn it by ear and I couldn't get it all the way. Yeah, there's some leads that the guys write, like that lead in Have a Blast always sounded cool to me. And there's certain sections, yeah. Someone mentioned Butter Snips. This. Yeah, there's some stuff that my bandmates write that I'm like, what the fuck, you know? And obviously I can't play it all perfectly these days anymore, but I used to play it way better when we would tour. So guys, I'll take 2 more questions and I'm gonna play one more song for you guys, okay? Do you still play for fun, or is it only career related? Because I know some guitar players play mostly for the band when they have to and don't for fun at some point. That's a great question. I find myself doing a lot of playing for my job or playing to create for my job, and I get into these grooves where I really enjoy it, but there are times where I'm like, okay, take a step back. You're only playing for Periphery. You're only playing for work. I find that I truly grow as a player when I step back and try to learn some new techniques and try and learn some new sort of tricks and licks and riffs and whatever and techniques overall. And that's when I sort of fall in love with the instrument again. And then I can incorporate that into Periphery or into Haunted Shores, but it's a slippery slope. You know, I'm thankful to be able to have an outlet like Periphery to put my music and energy into. But for me, it's always about reminding myself. It's like, okay, I'm still the 12-year-old kid that always wanted to play guitar for a living. Now go and do that. Don't think about where it's going to go. Just play the guitar. Imagine you're 12 years old again, learning from day one. So I would actually recommend this for anybody out there who's in a guitar rut. Like if you feel stuck or if you're frustrated with the guitar, remind yourself, why am I doing this? Am I doing this for work? Am I doing this to make money? Am I doing this to impress people? Because the short answer is that none of those things will probably happen, right? Like, it took me decades to make a penny off of music, and I had to be okay with being broke for a long time. I had to be okay with knowing that nobody was going to hear me play guitar for a long time. I didn't care. the one thing that kept bringing me back to it was a pure, unadulterated, unfiltered love for my instrument. And that has to be present whatever you are, whenever you are, like whether it's now or 30 years ago, whoever you are, no matter where you are in the world, that's always the thing. You have to love it more than anything. And if you don't, then you don't have to play it that much. You know, you can simply keep it as a hobby. But if you have any intent of taking this to a different level, the love has to be undeniable, and it has to be unbeatable, really. Like nothing can get in the way of it. Not even being broke, not even being lonely or frustrated. You know, frustration is not an excuse to put something down. And I had to learn the hard way, you know. So guys, can I play one more song for you guys? I'm gonna get one more song out of the way, and then I'll get out of your hair. Unfortunately, we're running short on time here, but we are gonna do the guitar giveaway for those who registered in the competition. So let me play one more song first. Is that cool? So thank you guys for being a part of this. I'm sorry I'm running short on time. It's hard to believe we've been going for an hour and a half now at this point. But I want to thank you guys for coming and doing this with me. I don't get a chance to connect with too many people, especially in the Periphery PRS guitar world, and even more so people around the world like yourself. So thank you for hanging out, for asking questions. Sorry if I didn't get a chance to answer yours, but there'll always be a next time. Right now, I'm playing one of my other SE models. This just comes in a Trampus green finish. So the exact same as the other guitars I have in here, just a different color on it. But thank you guys for doing this. I really miss you guys. I really miss playing shows. Really miss getting out there and doing my job. Being a part of the whole experience with you guys. So I'm going to play a song called Scarlet. And you know what? One more thing, guys. Be good to each other, because I see a lot of ugly shit on the internet, and you know, in the weird era that we currently are in the world, it's really easy to be negative. It's really easy to hate and to talk a lot of shit on everything, whether it's politics or virus stuff or whatever. It's like that's why I had to like quit Twitter. It's why I'm on social media way less, because there's just a lot of bullshit out there. But at the end of the day, what we have in front of us is not all ugly, you know. We can make the best out of some really, really ugly scenarios. So it all starts with you, man. Just be good to one another, you know? Don't propagate the hate. All right. Here's a song called Scarlet, guys. Thanks for tuning in. All right, once again, thank you everybody for coming. I'll see you again when we do this soon, hopefully. So stay in touch, everyone. Right now, though, we are going to switch over to my friends over at Wild Guitars. So everybody, don't go away. Don't go away. I'm not going away, so you don't go away either. We are going to switch over and do this guitar giveaway thing. So what are we doing here, Tom? How are we doing this? Can everybody get a glimpse here at the raffle thingy that we're about to do? There we are. So this is kind of a Wheel of Fortune. Pretend I'm the ugly Vanna White. If anybody out there has seen Wheel of Fortune, I'm the ugly Filipino Vanna White here. Yeah. All right. Vanna Brown, that's what I am. Who's going to win? Who's going to win? Who is it? I can't read that. But can someone? Okay, Daniel. Okay, Daniel Ravid. Okay, cool. Awesome. Congratulations, Daniel. That's amazing. So you get a free one of my guitars. That's fucking amazing. I can't believe you guys just did that. Wow, guitars. That's amazing. How do you do that and not lose money? I guess you aren't losing money on the guitar, but it's awesome because somebody just gets a free guitar today. That's amazing. I wish shops would do that where I live here in Austin. Nobody does that here. So anyways, if you guys live near this guitar store, Wild Guitars, be thankful that you have a shop like that, because I certainly didn't grow up around stores that were as generous as they are. And from what I've heard, they have an insane collection of guitars there. And I really like the people that I've met over Zoom and FaceTime and whatnot. So thank you guys for having me. Thank you to Wild Guitars. Take care, everybody. Stay in touch. Be good to one another.